Welcome everyone to the Alumni Spotlight interview. Today I'm Deekshana and a member of the Biotechnology Student Society. Today we are joined by Akanksha Bhogal, who graduated from Centennial College with honors in biotechnology, and she's currently working as a biomicrobiology analyst in the Canadian Food Inspection Agency. Welcome, Akanksha, and thank you so much for joining us in the interview today.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Okay, so the first question is, can you tell the audience about your journey to Canada, your education background, and how did you end up here?
So I graduated with bachelor's and master's in microbiology, and I've completed my post-graduation diploma with honors in biotechnology from Centennial College. And I moved to Toronto in 2017 and studied with Centennial under the fast track program. My background has been pretty diverse, and I've worked in clinical research as well as the pharmaceutical laboratory. And now I'm working as CFIA microbiology analyst, and I've been fortunate enough to learn from my colleagues and experts in the field. And CFI is a government federal agency, as you might know, and it acts as a science-based regulator with the purpose of safeguarding food, animals, and plants, and ensures the well-being of Canadian plants and animals.
Okay. So you mentioned about the you were experienced with the clinical research and all of that. Is it in Canada or back in India?
Uh, I do have experience from back home in clinical research. I did a few years here as well in clinical research. Mm.
Oh, okay. And how did your education at Centennial College prepare you for your career as a CFIA analyst?
So my program at Centennial covered the aspects of microbiology's testing, and it helped me succeed in the field. And the program helped me refine my skills and gain knowledge about the molecular techniques as well as food microbiology testing as per the compendium of analytical methods. And these are the methods that are routinely used in food testing laboratories. And all the aspects of the coursework from report writing English to food microbiology has helped me through my career. And I'm grateful for the experience that I gained and the guidance from the professors and the student services. And they were the key factors that helped me start my career.
Okay. And what are the skills that you would say you've used the most since graduating?
I would say in my career, both the technical and transferable skills have been beneficial, and I've utilized both of them as I moved through my career. In order to perform in the laboratory, you do need the technical skills as a hand-on experience to work with the equipments or the techniques. On the other hand, you also require transferable skills and soft skills, such as communication skills or problem-solving skills, to be competent in different roles in the industries. And both are essential, and the perfect combination of both can help you navigate your career in whichever direction you'd like.
Mhm. So I just have one question right now.
Mhm.
How do you describe your job? Is it more of laboratory heavy or more administrative?
It's more of laboratory work.
Okay. One of the biggest thing in landing job is the networking. So what would be your
Mhm.
advice to new students who are finding it challenging to find networks? And what are some Centennial resources that you would recommend using?
So I would say networking is like a vital uh, key point that you need to be efficient in order to start your career. And since it helps you build connections and that can help you gain valuable experience in the field. So I would say it definitely counts, and it's something that is challenging as well for new graduates.
Mhm.
And it certainly helps you be more aware of the opportunities in the field of interest. And I would suggest, firstly, do the research and start by reaching out to people, and then ask them about their story or their advice in the industry, and just be yourself and grow your connections. And by making meaningful connections and putting in the work, you could land in the volunteer position or the job opportunities you like, and it can help you facilitate the transition from academic to career.
When you first initially started working, what are some of the challenges that you faced?
Getting the first job after graduating is always challenging, and since there's like a learning curve to gain the skill sets and experience in the field, I navigated my career by building professional network and researching the companies and then looking at the skill sets that matched my experience and the background, and then working on the resume and reaching out to the HRs. I did get help from the college resources to shape my resume and practiced the interviews. I would say practice because there's like more you fail interviews, you get better at it.
Mhm.
There could be just one great opportunity that you would land in,
Okay.
which just helps you get better. And you can always get feedbacks from the interviews, so it helps in self-evaluation as well.
How did you get your first job? Like how much time it took to land in your first job since graduating?
I did start working part-time when I was studying, but landing into the role in my field, it did take a couple of interviews to know in which areas I could get better at, and the more practice I had, so it just took a while.
And what do you think are some of the first few challenges that students face when transitioning from an academic to a workplace setting?
So transition can be seen as challenging, but it's just like another phase that you just have to go through to adapt to the new environment. And this adjustment could be challenging as there are many, maybe like lack of support or feedback. You won't get as much as feedback as you would in your academia.
Mhm.
And some might need adjustment period to just adjust to new people or the workplace dynamics. And just to prepare for this transition, I would say students can take measures to participate in like organized projects or presentations to get over the reluctance, like meeting new people or seeing new faces. They can also seek co-op opportunities or volunteer positions or seek mentorship. And this can definitely help them provide guidance and support they need. And just always remember that it's just another phase. And it might sound challenging, but preparation does help smoothing things out. Mm.
Now that you mentioned co-op, the thing is that the course that I've taken is biotechnology 2 years course, and co-op is not necessary as a part like the other courses, the fast track or the 3 year biotechnology. So my question is that students in this field, like, what could be that disadvantages that they could potentially face without co-op, and how could they better enhance their chances of landing a job without co-op?
Um, so even I did not do co-op
Okay.
at the time, and I think it's just that students without co-op might need to put in some efforts for networking and to do the research themselves.
Okay.
Um, like search for your areas of interest and build a support network, as I mentioned earlier. And just, I think if you're good at researching and building the network, you'll be good in finding the opportunities you like. Yeah, I think
Okay.
that's the way you can start preparing.
Yeah. But did you feel the difference without co-op and from the students who did co-op, who entered the workforce?
I personally did not have links with the students that did
Mm.
co-op, but I have um, witnessed that the people who have done co-op have obviously experience right away, like
Mm. Yeah.
in your final semester. So that does adds on to your resume, and you have the hands-on experience, so it does help. Um, I think people who are not doing co-op can definitely sign up for some volunteer positions or um, like start researching ahead of time so
Mhm.
you can have some experience in the field and you don't feel
Okay.
that left out. Like people who are doing co-op have better opportunity. Like everyone has equal opportunities if you're like if you can keep up the pace.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
might do better, might land a better opportunity. Yeah.
Yeah, that is really hopeful. And I noticed that you've done a certificate course, GCP, if I'm not wrong, the Good Clinical Practice. So
Yeah.
could you elaborate on that? Like that intrigued
Mhm.
me actually.
So that is basically related to the clinical research,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like essential good clinical practices certificate that you do in order to perform as a clinical research professional. It is like a mandatory certificate. So that is something you would do if you want to go into that field. But for the laboratory, I would say it's basically more of volunteer and hands-on experience
Okay.
that helps. Yeah, like the technical and hands-on experience. So I think with laboratories, just like the volunteer positions or any other opportunities you might get to get the lab experience. In the clinical research, there might be some certificate courses that you can take.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, if I'm not going down this lane too far, like, um, could you give us a little bit of idea about what this clinical research work or slash job is, and how did you land in there after biotechnology?
I had experience in pharmacovigilance back home, which deals with adverse drug reporting. So it is basically you work with a clinical research organization that are conducting the trials to get the new drugs in the market.
Hmm.
And yeah, those companies are looking for the professionals who have medical background.
Okay.
And if you have experience in that field, you can get into that industry. And yeah, with that experience, I did get an opportunity here with a company. And that's how I started my career.
So is there any extra credentials apart from the good clinical practices that you would recommend students?
I think there are certain specialization courses that are available that you can take to get like there's a I think there is some certificate called clinical research CRA program or something,
Okay.
certificate program. I did not personally do it, so my the terminology might not be correct.
Okay.
But yeah, there are certain programs that gives you a specialization or like a 1 year program, or there could also be some regulatory certificate that you can do.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's just related with more of the regulatory part
Mhm.
than yeah, than the it's completely not linked to laboratory. So yeah, it's like a different
Mhm.
program together if you want to go into that field.
Uh-huh. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And finally, what do you think about the right time to apply to jobs, and when do you recommend students start applying and researching?
So I would say the interview preparation is practicable and it is a learnable skill. And the more you give interviews, the better you get into it. And so just use the college resources. I think there is student services provides help in building your resume and also with the interview prep.
Hmm.
I used to at when I was working, I'm not sure at the current time.
Okay.
So I would say give extra time to look for the job requirements. Sometimes they give you certain requirements or the skills that are required, and you can go from there, go backwards. Like, okay, this is what they need, and this is some kind of job that I'm looking for. And you would reach out to the professionals who are working in that field, what credentials like they had or what certificate programs they did to achieve where they are at the moment. So yeah, you could go from there, or even start by organizing some projects in the college, or there's could be some leadership programs as well as
Mhm.
available, and just take part in those. So you just get a hang of, or you build up those skills to have that in your experience, and look up for those. And certainly you apply right after you graduate.
Okay.
But there are certain student programs available that you can apply while you're studying and start working part-time.
Mm, yeah.
So yeah, there are certain websites that you could look for. You could search any biotechnology industries, hospitals, universities, and the government of Canada, the jobs, GC jobs,
Okay.
and sign up there and maybe like um, apply for that notification where they give you job alerts so you
Mm,
know like what kind of jobs are available, and
yeah.
yeah, start from there.
Okay. Um, so you previously mentioned a few questions back that you, while practicing interview, you had better idea as to how to specialize and how to kind of rectify the areas or facilitate the areas that you had problems with. So, what kind of advice would you give for that sort of analysis process for anyone?
Like for self-evaluation, you need to know, like after you give your interview, sometimes you don't realize that they were asking something more and you did not give away that information at that point, but you sometimes do have that experience and you just did not
Yeah.
speak that elaboratively.
Mm-hmm.
So it's always good to get a feedback after the interview so you know that you could have said more on this point or you could
Mm-hmm.
do better and add these points, because
Okay.
you always like assume sometimes and say a little bit,
Yeah. Yeah.
just don't elaborate that much. So that helped me. Um, just elaborating stuff and trying to get things together in my head and writing it down point by point and practicing. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing
Um,
your experience and the insights, because that really helped me as a student now to get a picture of how this job market works, because I am just entering into college right now, so I have no previous experience with college, so this is all new to me as well. So this interview had been really helpful to me, and I hope it will be helpful to the students who are watching this as well. Thank you so much
thank
for
you.
joining,
Thank
and
you.
thank you on behalf of our Biotechnology Student Society.